Let's get our next question here, Jim. This was sent to CornyDriveThru at gmail.com from Jack Burton, the Pork Chop Express. I was going back through older clips of the shows on the YouTube page and was listening to you talk about the circumstances surrounding Hulk Hogan leaving the AWA. Brian made mention of Vince's desire to buy the AWA and how Hogan, being fresh off starring in Rocky III, was red hot in the US as well as Japan. There's no denying Hulk Hogan is charismatic, but I was wondering if his upward trajectory in the business would have been different had he not starred in Rocky III. Would he have still been the guy for Vince in WWF's national expansion in the 1980s? Was Vince's attention already on Hogan to begin with, or was Rocky III what put him on Vince's radar?
I truthfully do not know Vince's, inside thoughts on Hogan, but it wasn't. How old are you, Brian? You may not remember this. Okay, then it may be tough for you. But Hogan was hot because of Rocky III, but he was already hot to begin with. He was already going to Japan before he got the role in the movie. Inoki was already featuring him as a top guy over there. He was already had been a main event guy here in the States for a couple of years, not only from Vince Sr. using him in that run in 1980 up there where he named him Hulk Hogan. A lot of people may not remember on the undercard of Bruno and Zbyszko at Shea Stadium, which set the record for the biggest gate in wrestling up to that point in time, was Andre against Hogan when Hogan was a heel there.
And that was also on the undercard of JYD and Michael Hayes.
Yeah, they put it on in the Superdome. That match was a territory boundary shattering match that had appeal. Hogan was also, again, on a tear in the AWA even before Rocky III came out. So, it obviously it was probably serendipitous for Vince. I would have think he would have been thinking in that direction anyway. If he wasn't thinking of Hulk Hogan before Rocky III, it's probably the only reason I can think of is maybe he still had an impression of Hogan as being a heel from the time he was in the territory before. But I can't see why Vince wouldn't have already had him in mind. And then when he went over and saw, what was going on in Japan, that's where he snagged him in November of 83, because he was in Japan at the same time Hogan was. And that's where they first got together and hatched this little plot. Unless I'm misremembering my history. Oh, great savant, Brian, is that the case? November of 83?
Well, in the summer of 83, Vince tried to buy the AWA and he was laughed at by Vern and Greg.
Yeah.
And if you can't get the AWA, why not just go after all of their talent at all their TV stations and all their buildings? And that's what he did. And Hulk Hogan was their biggest. And Rocky III put him over the top. Rocky III made him a big wrestling star and a big star. Rocky III ends up playing a bigger role in 85 once WrestleMania happens. Hogan already had some notoriety, led into the Mr. T connection. But Hogan was getting over. And I think the big thing actually is just when he naturally started getting over as a babyface in the AWA. Remember, he was there with Johnny Valiant as his manager, as a heel.
Yes.
And he started getting over on his own. And
as big a fan as I was of the Valiant brothers, Hogan needs Johnny Valiant for a manager about like I need fucking Crotch Rot.
Johnny Valiant's one of the worst managers ever. I can honestly say that. But Hogan started getting over, and I think the things that really turned it around, obviously he got over real big in Japan, but this is a different universe. Go watch a Hogan promo from 81 and go watch one from late 82.
Yeah.
He figured it out. He figured out how to talk to people and get them to connect with him. I think that was Terry Bollea discovering charisma and then having more of it than anyone else ever. That's what changed the game for Hogan.
Yeah. So, and you made a great mention of that. Well, I saw his first promos in 1979 in Memphis, and my God, it was brutal. And that's why that, Jerry Jarrett laughed and Lawler laughed and thought, this fucking guy, he'll never make it, because he couldn't the only thing that made his promo better than anybody else's in the territory was Beefcake was his brother at the time, and he was even worse. But otherwise, it was just brutal. But you could tell the guy looked like something, but he was out there talking like an accountant, and he would throw in the superstar Billy Graham. Well, brother, I got the pythons, but with the energy of a fucking 10-watt bulb. And then when they switched him heel in the WWF in 1980, he had Freddie Blassie. And still, like you said, in 81, it wasn't really there, but he'd only been in the business, 2.5 years. And then in that next couple of years, he not only did he get over and improve his in-ring game in Japan because he's working with talent like that, but after doing more television and being a heel and having a run and starting to figure it out, then he got a little more comfortable, and then the promos came, and then the people just naturally in the AWA started taking to him, and they just, poor old Johnny Valiant slowly got shipped back to New York City, baby. So, but yeah, I mean, everything worked together. It was the perfect storm of everything. And remember, Hogan was booked on the first Starrcade. He was in the program, but he had gone to, was it the tag team tournament? Because he was working for Inoki, and Vince always sent talent to Inoki's tag team tournament. Was that when they were over there together?
I'm not exactly sure what the tour was, but remember, a lot of things happened in short order. Hogan got married to Linda right around that period of time. And those photos, I got all the magazines from Japan. Those photos got into the magazines. Inoki's there, Andre's there, Adrian Adonis is there, Vince McMahon Jr. is there.
That's right.
Not Vern Gagne. Vince McMahon Jr. He wasn't doing anything with Vince at that point.
I bet Vern had to be talked into going to fucking Greg's wedding.
I'm pretty sure
Crusty old bastard.
I'm pretty sure the Hogans probably didn't want Vern there at that time. But Vince was promising a number of things. But I'm not going to get into all that. But what I was going to say is, with Hogan or without him, Vince was going national. That decision was made years before. He was waiting for his moment. He got the company. He was going to strike. We'll never know what it would have been with Jimmy Snuka or Backlund or what he would have done, or Dusty. I mean, that's the other thing. He can't get Hogan. What would he have done for 84? But Vince was going to do it one way or another, with or without Rocky III.
Yeah.
All right.
So there you go. There's the answer to that question from the fellow up in the little butt plug below Ontario.